Hello and welcome to the Fabulous at 50 podcast, celebrating a vibrant global community of women over 50 through entertaining interviews that will inspire, educate, and empower. Your host, Joanne Neweduk, was born to nurture and promote vibrance. Joanne is both the Community Director for Calgary, Canada, and oversees the global operations for Fabulous at 50. As an oncology nurse, integrative practitioner in multiple modalities, life skills mentor, and manager, Joanne moves people from challenging situations to positive outcomes through the use of her innate gifts and learned skills. Here's your host, Joanne Neweduk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fabulous at 50 podcast. I am your host, Joanne Neweduk, and I am over the moon excited about today's episode. I get to interview a lady that has just been bigger than life for me, a woman that is so down to earth, authentic, and yet has the tenacity to really overcome some pretty big hurdles in her life with the biggest smile I have ever seen. Blows me away. I first met Janice, I guess really online on social media. And I followed her journey and her story for quite some time. I wouldn't say I first met her then. We first met at an event where I was speaking and she was there, but we didn't get a chance to really connect. So from that moment, for quite a while, I followed her story on social media. And then one of the Fabulous at 50 events that were taking place in Calgary that we had in early 2020, before the world turned upside down, really days before the shutdown, we had an event that was so much fun. And Janice was there. And I was touched to my core because Janice came up to me and she just said, I had so much fun. I think I found my tribe. And that being, running Fabulous at 50 events just filled my heart. And when I asked her why or how, and she said, it's just people are real. It's not about glossing over the difficult time in life, but it was really just about embracing life in spite of when we go through difficult time. And we just had so much fun. So before I bring her on, I just want to read a little bit about her. Janis Doherty is a Canadian midlife mother of two, stepmom to three, and has spent more than enough time wondering if this was the way it was supposed to be. Janice has spent years searching and learning about fulfillment and that elusive internal connection. After developing the online community of HERwithin, Janice, oh my gosh, sorry about that. Janice has been sharing her wisdom and kindness with women around the world. As a healthy breast cancer survivor, Janice is living in Calgary, Alberta with her husband, Paul, and escapes to the mountains or West Coast as often as they can to live the life her soul is craving. So I happily welcome you to today's episode, Janice.
Thank you.
How's that for an intro?
Oh,
do you remember?
Well, you had me in tears a couple times.
Good. Yeah, it just came to me. I remember it was actually at one of the Woman Talk events, I believe, where we were south of town.
Yeah, I used to be the co-director at Okotoks.
That's right. So It was when I was talking, I think then, and then it was probably not long after that you went through your cancer journey and rid your body of Edna.
Exactly. Evicting Edna. I think that's my next book.
Is that it? Evicting Edna. Well, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here and that you feel like a strong connection to the Fabulous 50 community.
Oh, absolutely.
That party we had back in March was so much fun. It was an early St. Patrick's Day party. That's what it was. We did it early. If we had actually done it on St. Patrick's Day, we wouldn't have been able to because
exactly. And that was probably the biggest workout I had post-cancer with doing all the Irish jigs in the middle of the floor there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Deanne was leading us in some dance grooves there.
Yeah.
That was fun. And then we just, everybody sang along to music and we had so much fun.
Being in a room with that many women singing along to like a Journey song, just like that's something I will never forget. It
Yeah.
was absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and that's what we're doing our best to create online now as well. And whenever we can, and as soon as we can, we'll be back in a city close to you to join in. Now, before we get started and into the nitty-gritty, I have a few questions for you. But first, can you, just so that anyone listening knows how to reach you, what's the best way if somebody by the end of this conversation or even now says, I want to get in touch with Janice? What's the best way for them to reach you?
The easiest way to find me is by just typing in the word, it's one word, HERwithin. It's like right there, right up.
Oh yeah, you're like a weather person there,
That's
pointing
right.
to some words there. Oh, that's wonderful.
I have a website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, and you can contact me through direct messaging or email me. I'm easy, very easy to find.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, let's get down to our conversation. I am dying to find, I know some of the journey you've been on very recently, but I would love to just ask you, how did you celebrate 50? And I mean this in the sense, it can be the birthday party you had, but really, what did it mean to you to be turning 50, entering into your 50s? What did that feel like to you?
What the biggest thing I remember is because I got divorced when I was 46, I think it was, and I promised myself I would not get remarried until I turned 50.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, and I just needed to let everything from past life just process itself and figure itself out.
Yeah.
So
Wise.
yeah. So once when 50 hit, it was like I was like this door opened, and I just
Oh, yeah.
I felt free from stuff in the past, and I had given myself permission to now step forward and get married. So we actually, I think we did that September, if I'm not mistaken. So,
You
no,
got
I think
married.
I was 51. I was 51 when I got remarried. Yeah.
So you were able to, in a sense, start like process the heartache you went through, find a new relationship, reestablish this is what I value, get a new relationship, and start over again and move forward. And you did this at 50.
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And my amazing husband had no clue the stuff that I thought I had got rid of. But when you're put into a new situation with a new family, new people, things start popping up like daisies all over the place.
Of course.
So there was a lot more processing to go on, but he is the one that I needed to process with. I couldn't imagine going through like everything that I had to deal with without him by my side. So
wow.
I am so glad I waited until after I had turned 50. And I also took him and my two sons, and we went to Hawaii and celebrated my birthday.
Oh, that's a pretty awesome way to celebrate your birthday. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I do. Second marriages, I really believe in do-overs, and just something you loved, redo it.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fantastic. That is, well, actually, if I can just kind of interject with Diana, the founder of Fabulous at 50, she has the book that she, I was going to say published, right? And looking for my words here. Published is called Fabulous at 50, The Re-Experience. And it's talking, and I have a little, not a full chapter, but a little excerpt in there as well. And it's talking about re-experiencing life. And I did quite a bit of that around 50 and since. And so, well, fantastic. I know I always say that I upgraded in my relationship.
Yeah.
But I love that you're stressing you have to do, shall we say, the work? Because if you jump out of one relationship and immediately go, well, I'm just fine, it was all there, issues and you're out
Exactly.
the door, looking for somebody new right away, you're just going to recreate the same mess.
Yeah, well, like they
And
say,
yeah,
if you keep redoing the same thing with the same results, and like I dated for 2 or 3 years after I had divorced, but I knew what I didn't want, and I kept
yeah,
finding it,
yeah,
but I didn't know what I wanted, and this kind of this was I 46, divorced, and I'm like, I did not see this. This was not my life. This is not the way
yeah.
I expected it to be. So that
Mhm.
was another one of those, is this the way it was supposed to be?
Yeah.
So yeah, you keep
That's a
doing the same
question,
thing, you get the same results.
right? Well, this is going to lead me into another question, and I'm going here on purpose. Is by any chance, is there a book that's caught your attention in the last little while?
Well,
Just so happens.
there happens to be one.
Look, I have a copy here as
Yes.
well. All right, the people listening out in podcast world at
Mhm.
this moment, for those watching on YouTube, we are holding up Janice's book called "Find Her: 20 Revealing Questions to Discover the Woman Within." Hence, your sort of branding of HERwithin,
Within. Yes.
because it's about my guess, and I actually don't know this, my guess is that these questions are questions that you yourself had to go through to get to the person you wanted to be. So Janice, I have a question for you, and I don't know the answer to this at all. We haven't had a chance to talk about it, but I'm really fascinated. The questions that you have in here are so thought-provoking, and I know many of them are ones that I went through when I was going through my own sort of personal journey and really questioning my own life, when I was kind of rocked to my core at one point in time. So I'm curious if you can share with us, how these questions came to you. Are they ones that you developed maybe after your divorce? Was it conscious, or was it more in a retroactive looking back, and of course your cancer journey fairly recently, how much did that play into prompting? Can you share a bit about that?
Absolutely. So the questions themselves, all 20 of them, came to me when I went for a drive one day, and I went and sat out by Allen Bill, used to be a pond.
Yeah. It got destroyed in 2013. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I was just sitting on a bench, and I had got a message, like I get these audio and visual messages that come to me, which is wild, to go for a drive, take a journal and a bottle of water. Okay. So I did, and I went there and I sat on a bench, and I didn't know what to expect. So I just sat there, and the sun is on my face. And then I got the first question: are you taking responsibility for your experiences? And then it's like, so I wrote it down, and then the next one, and the next one. And over a 30-minute period, I had 20 questions.
These 20 questions.
Those exact
Wow.
20 questions.
Can I'm going to pull just a couple more out here. I love this one. Question 11. Am I feeling lost and unfulfilled? That's a big question.
Yeah.
Number 15. What regular routine is connected to my past that I need to release? Wow. That one's interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
I love number 19. Who am I without my titles? Those are pretty thought-provoking. And this is just a couple out of the 20.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, and the book is very, like, it's fascinating. When I first got it, I didn't realize you have it set up actually as a workbook. You could just read it, or, it's meant to be, you really use the book as opposed to just read the book.
Absolutely. And it's the way I wrote it, it's like a conversation like we're having right now. It's not like a, it's not like one of these books where
it's not you talking at us or just sharing your experience, right? Like what I found is I felt like I was having a conversation with you.
Yeah. And everything I answered, once I had those 20 questions, I answered them as me in that moment. But then I also answered them the way I would have answered them 4 years prior. And that was just my own work that I did. And then I took the wisdom that I found within each of those, and everything that's in the book is answered with vulnerability. Like, I flat out talk about my relationship with my stepdaughter, that I thought, like, it was this evil child, but it was me. She was on my stage to show me something, and the stuff that I figured out was amazing. So I ended up answering all the questions with vulnerability, honesty, and humor. I always like kind of interject a little bit of humor.
You definitely have humor. Like, you put a
Because
swing on things. And what I'd love to say, Janice, is that what I've noticed about your humor is it's not an evasive humor. You know how some people, like, they use humor to avoid something?
Mhm.
I don't find that with you. I find that you understand the nitty-gritty of life, and you also go, and there has to be some levity in it so that we can get through it. Right?
Exactly. It's
It's
like
both
reality
and.
humor.
It's
Yeah.
not a denial. It's a both and with you. And I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You have a great sense of humor. Well, anyone that names their cancer tumor Edna, like, really,
yeah, there's still a few
ridding
people
Edna.
kind of look at me sideways with that one. It's like, you got to know the whole story.
Yeah. And it worked for you.
Absolutely. And it also worked for, I had a cousin who's like my aunt had passed away from breast cancer. I can't remember, probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And she used Edna. She would send me direct messages on, like, Messenger. And she says, Janice, this isn't for you. This is for Edna. Can you please read it out loud to Edna? Because she needed to process. She was still
Wow.
mad at the cancer. So
Wow.
because I gave my cancer a name, even my girlfriends were able to, like, I was getting F Edna messages on a regular basis, because
Yeah.
they had people who had died from cancer. Now they
Yeah.
had, it's almost like they had something that they could, instead of this big
It was
unknown
personified.
mass.
It was
Yeah.
something manageable, because honestly, it's big and scary. As you know, I'm an oncology nurse. I
Mhm.
still work, part-time. I've held on to that part of my career. It's important to me. Along with this, right? I'm passionate about both. I'm very much a both and as
Yeah.
well. And I know that as a nurse, I mean, there's the grounding. We have such incredible medical advances, and we also need our part in things, right?
Exactly.
Patients and people who are doing this journey, the ones, in my opinion, that do fare the best, and this is just in my experience, are the ones that embrace both and, right? The
Mhm.
ones that do the type of thing you did, where, that naming their tumor may not be their way, but they'll find a different way, right? We have another dear friend where she had beautiful healing circles that her friends surrounded, and she imagined her chemo liquid love, and
Mhm.
that, like, but using the power of our own mind to help us through that journey is phenomenal.
And I really truly believe that I I got breast cancer because I was ready. That sounds very strange, but I had gone through 4 years of a lot of my three lines I use are: find her, trust her, love her. And I had done all the work to find her, and I had reconnected inside. I was learning to trust her, trust my doctors, trust the universe, trust my radiation schedule. Like, this is happening because this is supposed to be happening. And then once I, after my surgery, is when I was overflowing with love that was within me, not the people coming to me or contacting me or anything. It was just, I would sit there and I would doodle hearts and the word love. And I had such an appreciation for life after all that was over, because I had gone through all these steps to find her, trust her, love her. And it was like, I was ready. I was ready to take on what it was
And
going to be happening.
her being more than the physical you and the thought. It's like, it's the entirety of you.
Like intuition and spirit and
Yes.
soul and
Yes.
all those
All of it
other
mixed together.
things that are in
Yeah.
there waiting for us to come back. I always say she's sitting on a little log on the side of a path where you went that way, and she's just sitting there waiting for you to come back. And when you come back,
Yeah.
it's like you're together again, and it's going to be amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. Now we're getting close to the end of our conversation. I can't believe how fast
I
the time
know.
goes, but I want to make sure you have enough time to answer this question. If you were to share 3 pearls of wisdom with the listening audience today, what would those 3 things be?
It would be find her, do the work, find your stillness, find that connection within, because that strength that's within everybody, every man and every woman. Once you and her get back together, it's incredible. The loneliness and the feeling lost, feeling unfulfilled disappears. That's the first one. Trust her. When you get messages, when you get that gut feeling, or you get those tingles, when any of those, trust them. That's her talking to you. That's her communicating her way through you. Love her. For, I don't know how many years. I don't want to tear up.
Oh, that's okay. We're real here. We are truly real.
I honestly did not love myself. I look in the mirror now. I love how I look, but I look deeper than that now.
We'll take a breath. I know. I'm feeling it. And it's, the depth of your passion in sharing your journey. What I hear from it is your passion is about giving hope for other women.
Yeah.
Right? Your passion is about you went on this incredible journey, and now you want to you want other women to have that. And I
Yes.
can feel that you're, when we talk about being in a state of love, it's not about a selfishness and, oh, I'm grand. And so many women, we get caught in, oh, you can't be boastful, but I call it being in a state of love. It's like an energy, it's a feeling. It's, it's not quite the same as in love, like, ooh, Twitter pater, like the romantic love, but it's like this whole state. And there is an elevated feeling of trust and connection with people and forgiveness. And just like all of it seems to align. It's like everything comes together.
Absolutely.
And I see that with you. And the fact that this brings up tears, it's painful to remember back what it was like when you weren't loving your own being.
Exactly.
And
the whole thing with HERwithin and with my book, I equate it to every time I used to go on a holiday, I would buy my mom something, my dad something, my sister, my kids, my nieces and nephew. I want to bring that holiday home for everybody. Yeah. And that's what I'm doing with HERwithin and with my, there's going to be a Find Her, a Trust Her, and a Love Her book. So there's going to be the 3 books.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. And it's like, I want to give HERwithin to everybody. I want to give them a little piece from this little paradise that I'm in. And so that's why I started writing and doing the questions. And I've already got Trust Her is now underway already.
Oh, I'm so excited. So how perfect is this that, your 3 pearls of wisdom are find her, trust her, and love her. And if you need help with that, then anyone listening is going, how do I do that? Very simply, first and foremost, grab this book, do that, and go through it, do the work of going through that, and the enjoyment. Sometimes we think work is not enjoyable, but go through that and go through that process. Reach out to Janice, reach out to myself. We'll happily, and there's so many other people that we can turn to give you that support, right? And
absolutely
fantastic. And then once this is under our belt, I'm not quite finished. I'm really close. I was hoping to get totally done. And I'm just going to add in there, what I love about this is it could be something you sit down and you do all in one big session, like your own personal development work. But I also think this is a really wonderful book to commit 3 weeks to and do 1 question per day and really let it sit in. Like I'm already envisioning like courses down the line and, workshops and retreats and
yeah. And I had one friend who bought the book, but she had a friend who took the book. So she had to buy a second book, and the 2 of them are going to work together. They're going to work through it. And there's nothing better than having somebody else on that journey with you, because they see things that we try to avoid. And that's the whole basis of this book. It's questions that we avoid throughout our life. So I'm hoping that my story with this will open doors.
Well, you and I were just talking before we started recording, and I was saying how, what we're doing with Fab at 50 and moving online and having our weekly events. And one of them will be Books and Babble. So we'll be talking about different books, and I'd love to see you featured on that. And maybe we can get a little study group together or something like that. We'll have to talk offline. In the meantime, for everyone that's listening or watching on YouTube, check out the show notes. Just Google, no matter where you are, we use Google, search HERwithin, and you'll find Janis Doherty, and reach out, buy the book. It's absolutely worth it. And what a great stocking stuffer. What a great gift. Especially now
for yourself. Yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful gift for yourself, but all the women in your life, like sisters and moms, when you're wondering what's great, you can go on Amazon and you have them all shipped off and your Christmas shopping's all wrapped up. It's a great plan. Great plan. So Janice, I'm so happy that you were here today and we were able to share her, find her. And we'll look forward to trust her. We'll have you on again then. And definitely I want to be part of Love Her.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Wonderful. All right. Mwah, to everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. You've been listening to the Fabulous at 50 podcast with your host, Joanne Neweduk. Join us again for more inspirational interviews on topics that matter to you. If you like what you've heard on today's episode, check out the liner notes, or to learn more about this vibrant community that celebrates women over 50, please visit fabulousat50.com. That's www.fabulousat50.com.